It's officially May 20th, and you know what that means. It means the Enhanced Edition is finally out for all of the games. But they're not off to a great start. This was at 200 reviews, now it's at 700. And only 36% of these reviews are positive. Let's dive into these reviews. This is the top one. Let's find out what it says. I don't know how this was approved ready for launch. I played the original series to death and have it on almost all media I own, physical and digital. This version feels like I have a console port. There is no DLA or DLSS, but there is AMD FSR for some godforsaken reason. With FSR enabled, native resolution and sharpness on max, it's still blurry and it adds ghosting as well on top. And the game looks worse than the original PC port. The picture is so noisy and blurry that it's hard to stomach. Turning off blur and depth of field only help a little bit while moving, but even standing and looking further away is still a lot more blurry and jagged. There's input lag here and there, which is really annoying when you're trying to clear a base, and you're stuck with your hands in a bandit's ass looking for bandages and ammo. They removed a bolt or grenade charging for God knows what reason, and now both left and right mouse click do a normal throw. Now that's fucked up. I was hyped for this release and I was ready to get all achievements. A bug that I've encountered that I've never seen before. I've killed bandits and they disappeared into thin air. That's crazy. I wonder why. Probably my last edit because I ain't playing this anymore. The audio is completely messed up and footsteps are barely audible if they are audible. I'll have to check this out. Changing the running from X to Shift and then having to 2-level crowns for pressing Ctrl X is diabolical. Huge disappointment, especially the modding. They treat us like console gamers. Yeah, I was reading about the modding. They have modding restrictions or something, so if you don't want to mod, don't do that, you know what I mean? As of right now, I can't recommend this version for various reasons. As of writing this review, I did a few side quests and got into garbage. Here are some things that immediately caught my attention. The EULA, that was the first red flag. There is no reason to have this thing in a purely single-player game. The worst thing that I can point out from it is that they could revoke your license to this game at any moment. Aside from this, it's generic. There is one last thing that I'm afraid of, and it's the modding. If GST marks your mod as offensive, it could get deleted. Interesting. The game looks blurry, we already established that. You can't bind keys on your mouse buttons. You can't rename manual saves. Wow, what? New quick save doesn't rewrite the previous one. Game size is twice as big as the original, yet it doesn't look much better. Censorship. Some of the prompts in game and the whole Russian NPC voice pack were removed, not replaced, but were removed completely. All of the original games take place in an era where Russian or Soviet architecture, posters, etc. were common in Ukraine. While I understand why they did this, it still feels wrong to censor parts of history. I agree with that for sure. It's really hard to say. To me, it feels like it is definitely removing parts of history. I was just in a thread where they were arguing about posters in 100 Rads bar, how removing them didn't really do anything. Okay, well, to me, it did do something because the posters are the very first thing you see whenever you come into 100 Rads bar. There's two that you see as soon as you walk in. One literally at the door, and the other right before the inner entrance to the bar. You're seeing them, okay? They are a part of the atmosphere. Now, another part I was reading about was the actual the lion in Call of Prypiat, and I think a few other things. That's not cool, man. What did the lion ever do to you? Fucked up. The HUD got changed, and it's worse. Bug with invisible anomalies. Some of the enemy bodies despawn in seconds. Enemies are shooting through obstacles like gates and fences with precision. The only reason why I would recommend this version is for achievements. Otherwise, stick to the original. Nothing enhanced about this version. Disgustingly blurry. It feels like 720p. With several other aspects censored or omitted, there's absolutely no reason to play this over the original. I don't know if I'd call it a remaster. They call it a remaster, but it says enhanced. It doesn't actually say remaster, you know what I mean? Let's talk about a positive review, okay? Rest in peace, Volodymyr Yezhov. You will live on in our games, stalker. I did not know Loki's face was based off of Yezhov's. That's really interesting. What about another one? This game is getting review bombed and lies are all over. It runs exactly like the OG did, but enhanced, thus the title. So here's the 1.0 review. Enhanced is the best term. Gameplay-wise, little has changed. All the negative reviews are about the Russian removal, or their own inability to operate a computer. They've upgraded the X-ray engine to DX12, the biggest advantage of this edition. I agree with that. Uses all cores, cleaned up the code vastly, other small visual upgrades. The graphics setting menu is a little different. It is difficult to notice many of the texture upgrades. Most negative reviews are just fallacy after fallacy. Russians are mad the language was removed. I wonder why. People say it's blurry, a lie until sauce is given. It does not start with FSR on. It does not start with V single on. Those are lies. People pissy about Stalker 2 laying hate on their previous work. It's not unfair they jacked up the price of a 20-plus-year-old game. They took time to revise a previous model. Yeah, I'm not really a fan of the original game's prices being changed, but they, I mean, hey, they're gonna do what they're gonna do, right? Now, yeah, the enhanced editions, why not just charge you for those or something if you haven't bought it? I don't know, okay? You shouldn't have touched the original game prices. I'm looking down on this thread. It is pretty xenophobic to just hate on an ethnicity, but they are at war, you know what I mean? But then again, why punish the citizens who have nothing to do with the war and people drafted? It ruins an important part of the game, it sure does. But I was talking to somebody else about this. If you've kept up with the Discord, with GSC's Discord, you would know that they don't really tolerate anything Russian, and it's been that way for a while now, a long while, at least like close to a year, at least a few months. Okay, so that's really nothing to be surprised about. I know the original games were marketed that way, but those were the original games. That was before 2014, and after 2014, it was a whole different ballgame. You know, before that, that was one of their biggest audiences. It would have been stupid not to have that inclusion, but now it's a little bit more difficult to say. Removing the original dubbing to hear two different voice actors out of the same NPC is egregious and lazy. That would definitely put me off. Yeah, we're turning down motion blur. I'm sorry. I don't need frame rate. I'm fine. Fuck it. Ooh, that's a new one. Optimizing. Yeah, the audio does fucking suck, dude. The music in the menu cut out whenever I went into settings, and so did this. I can't tell if the cutscenes look any different. It might look a little bit better. Okay,
so,
back to sound.
I saved you.
That's
and I'm
new.
not going to pretend I did it to win favors upstairs. You do some jobs for me, and we're even. Besides, keeping you busy might be a good way to deal with your amnesia. And I'll see what I can find out about your problem. I don't give a shit why you want to find this S.T.A.L.K.E.R guy. I mind my own business. If you want to kill him, well, you must have your reasons.
I'm about to say, man, this is nostalgic.
Either I brainwash you like I usually do with all the rookies, or I treat you like a real stalker and I give you a mission straight away. Got a job for you, Marked One.
Alright.
Well, good hunting, Stalker.
It says traitor, not Sidorovich. How sad. Yeah, he's right. You can't charge him anymore. How sad. Yeah, they should have changed the thing there, because he's right about that. One reviewer was right about that. You do have to press X. So I guess they had a double crouching at least. The first option is apparently always in like a tan, yellowish color for whatever reason.
Мутанти там аномалії. Чи через те, що у кожному з нас все одно тварюка сидить? А взагалі тут цікаво. Здорово навіть. Не
Ну,
так, щоб
трохи не в
прямо
тему,
золоте
але
дно.
от згадалося.
Ну, так то часу більше треба. Час
Вирішив старий
Правильно,
довгий
знову
вийти
ж.
на пенсію.
От наберуся
Поїхав
досвіду.
додому, значить,
Guys,
буде
I'm sending
там його
someone your
мені
way, so wing it.
Всі ж знають,
You may
що
attack if
долговці
necessary.
на зброї
Over.
того схиблені зовсім.
Ствол униз.
Well, nothing seems to be different with the PDA. The encyclopedia. One of my favorite features. Yeah, that's gonna fuck me up really quickly. X makes you walk. Wow.
Thank you, Marked One. You're okay, you know that?
Командир, нам придурок какой-то разрушается. Ждем? Отставить.
The skybox might look a little better.
Ну пусть живет.
I think the biggest thing I noticed is the water. The water looked amazing. Water and just the weather were the two biggest things I noticed whenever I was watching the trailers and seeing screenshots and videos and whatnot. That's the biggest thing I've noticed.
Pipe down, man. Let me fill you in. Men, Wolf here sent us some support along with the order to attack. Time to move on and be heroes.
It still definitely looks old. Is it anything near a remaster? No, definitely not. Which is why they didn't say remaster. Now, I guess you could call it enhanced if you really wanted to, because they did do some change. They did make some changes. You know what I mean? It's not nothing. Considering there's a few new bugs, you could argue as to how enhanced it really is. But those are just semantics. I'm just showing it off. And hey, it's for free, right? Still inaccurate as ever. So that didn't change. It's still inaccurate as shit. Oh shit, we got boars.
Допоможи вогнем!
Okay, thankfully I didn't die there. Ah, we might have our final one go by a boar. Rescue, shit.
Wolf, factory cleared. Returning to starting position.
I owe you, brother.
Out.
I could never thank you enough.
Yeah, I saw that they changed the energy drink to non-stop now. That's interesting. I wonder why. Honestly, I don't know why they didn't keep both of them. The soccer energy drink, that would have been cool.
Більше такої немає.
З'явився, значить, у зоні чорний сталкер.
But I guess it's just because of their deal that they've got going on.
Суне руку до намету і каже таким страшним голосом. Водички.
I haven't had issues with bodies disappearing though, because these bodies are still here. They're still on the PDA. You know what I mean? They're still there. If I was playing this for the very first time, I'm gonna be honest, it's not even that bad. It's still the original game, just a little bit better or worse depending on how you view it. So, it's not horribly unplayable. That being said, is it a disappointment to a lot of people? Yeah, it is, especially considering the reviews section of Steam.
Так Риму тоді вже й каже.
Is it the end of the world? No. Is it nice that the older games are still getting some attention? It sure is.
Got any?
At the end of the day, it already happened, you know what I mean? So,